hello there. Uh, try to remember how to do this. It's Julian, and this is another very special episode of the Stage Select. This week on a very special Stage Select. I think I did that joke last year. I had the opportunity to actually have a little bit of time off, which I wasn't expecting. My office was going to have the 4th of July off anyway, but then the director of my agency said, hey, y'all can have an extra day. You just have to decide if you want the day before the 4th or the Monday after, and kind of divvy it up because there has to be people to cover. But if you divvy it up between those 2 days, then everybody can have an extra day off. And I was like, cool. We have this thing where we work there's skeleton crew days where you can choose to take that extra holiday off as long as you work another one of those skeleton crew days in the future. Or if you decide to work those skeleton crew days, you just earn extra holiday time that you can just use whenever. And I've already worked a couple of those and didn't realize that I could use them whenever. I thought I had to use them on another skeleton crew holiday, which the ones that have happened so far have been in the middle of the week, and I hate having a random day off in the middle of the week. So I was just like, I'll just work it. But that changed everything. So anyway, long story short, gave me the opportunity to actually take time off when I was not expecting to have time off, because my vacation doesn't actually kick in until the end of August, if I make it that far. That's a story for another day, which you've, I guess, already heard by now. Time is weird. I'm recording this before we record episode 61, because of when I'm leaving town. I've got to get this thing assembled and ready and in the can before then. So, we're just going to kind of pre-record some stuff, me and Justin, and there's going to be another little weird bonus thing in there. And then, so that's kind of the flow for this episode. Probably going to yap at you for about half an hour or so. And then I got a jet because me and Justin have a meeting. We've been working on making a video game on the down low, and we're finally ready to, kind of shop it around and see who bites. But that's we'll talk about that later if that comes to anything. So I was trying to think of stuff that I could talk about that I haven't talked about on the show, and there's really not a lot, but I wanted to talk about something that's been ever present in the background, but come at it from a different angle, which is I am deep in the 100-line Last Defense Academy at this point. I am rounding out to about 75 hours, and I've acquired 8 of the 100 endings, and I'm getting close to a 9th ending, but I feel that 9th ending is the ending. It feels like I have now learned most of the secrets. But the crazy thing about that game is that I feel that there's still way more to plumb. So I don't know if it's a situation where it's like Nier Automata, where it's got 100 endings, but really once you get these 4, you're good, and then you can choose to get the other ones if you want. Because I've definitely found some bad ends, as they say, where it's just you did something dumb and now game over type of thing, but in a funny way or what have you. And I don't want to get into detail. I really want to tiptoe around this, because I think the 100 line is just a brilliant fucking game, and I want people to experience it. Honestly, go in as blind as you can. You probably will know if you're into this type of game. If you like a Danganronpa, but see, it's not really all that. Well, no. If you like a good visual novel, right? That's kind of the crux of it, because it's not it's a mystery, but not in the Danganronpa / I Nirvana Initiative type style of mystery. It's just that there's a lot of mysterious things, But the core of the game is that you're fighting this war and you're defending this school for 100 days. So the mystery is around basically what's going on outside of that conflict, but it's not like, oh, someone died and now you're trying to figure out who killed them and how, right? It's not that type of mystery. So if you're someone who digs a good visual novel, like, this is one of the best that I've played, and it's kind of fascinating. But what I wanted to come at this discussion, the angle I wanted to take was something. So Xavier Krager, one of our patrons and listeners, he had expressed in the Discord a lot of frustration with the way that, like, information is doled out, and I really couldn't disagree more, because I think for me what it is, and I'm going to compare it. I wanted to come at this comparing it to Clair Obscur Expedition 33, because most of my complaints about Expedition 33 actually come from a narrative perspective, and I'm not going to get into spoilers. Again, I'm going to be very careful to tiptoe around all of this stuff while still trying to make my point. We'll see how successful I am. You can comment, down below, as they say on YouTube, and let me know if I failed at tiptoeing carefully enough. If you feel that I spoiled something, Mike. There's a lot of mystery in Expedition 33, and I actually do really appreciate the fact that they kind of just throw you as the player in and don't explain a lot of stuff up front, because everybody in the world knows what's going on as far as, like, the setup. So there's not a lot of, like, needless exposition of being like, oh, well, it really sucks that every year, a whole generation of people get wiped out because of the paintress. Like, you just learn that as the story plays out. And I think that's really cool. I think that's very, very smart. I think it's very mature, and very confident in the storytelling, that they trust the player to get it as they get, a few hours into the story. But as you get deep into the story, there are questions that even your characters don't have the answers to. And eventually you do encounter individuals that can provide some of those answers. And it's a double-edged fuck you of the characters that can provide the answers don't, which and this is going to happen with Last Defense Academy as well, but I want to kind of explain why I think it works there where it doesn't work in Expedition 33. Because I think the crucial thing for me is that most of the characters who have those questions don't ask them. They're very incurious, and it's extremely frustrating. Occasionally a character will ask something, but it's in, like, the side conversations, and it's always presented as like, well, will you tell me something? And the person is like, well, I could, but I'm not gonna. Let me tell you this cute little anecdote instead. And then just leave it there. And it's exceedingly frustrating, and it makes the characters feel just ridiculously naive and kind of stupid. Like, they're not asking any of the crucial, like, pertinent questions that you as the player obviously have. And again, this is stuff that at this point the characters would have questions about. I'm not talking about the stuff that they already know at the beginning that you have to figure out for yourself. I think that's totally valid. I think that's actually really cool. And so on the flip side, you have Last Defense Academy, where the characters are constantly asking the questions that you, the player, are asking. What happens is that the characters who could provide those answers almost always have a reason to not provide that information. Some of it is as simple as your commanding officer is basically like, it's a need to know basis, and right now you don't need to know, that type of thing, which is frustrating, but you get that, right? Like, there's in a military situation, there's that comes up all the time, right? You see it in movies and storytelling, all the time, and you can buy that. And I think the game is really interestingly paced where sometimes a character will be like, yeah, you're right. Let me tell you about that. And then some shit pops off and it interrupts, or like something else happens. And then you don't get that. You as a player don't get that answer. And also the character does not get that answer. But it does it in a way to where, like, even me as a player would get so distracted by the other stuff happening that I would be like, oh, right, but what about this? And then usually almost to a T, when I would ask that question, one of the characters would be like, right, but what about this thing? And it's like, oh, right. There had been so much shit popping off like the last couple hours of the game that I totally forgot about that. But you're right, we need to revisit that. And then they'll revisit that type of stuff. And depending on where you're at in the story, there are people who will withhold information because they don't trust the characters asking the questions, and I think that's valid. I think it's not a matter of like jerking you, the player, around so much as it makes sense in a very high stressful situation where, because the story has a lot to, there's a lot of paranoia involved in the overall story of this game that I really appreciate, and really deals with the concept of like blindly following orders, but also like when is it appropriate to start questioning those orders and questioning motive in the conflict that you're in, right? Like it plays with all of that stuff in such a brilliant way, and it can get a little bit repetitive, but I don't think it's as egregious as like a Persona game where people are having the exact same conversations, sometimes multiple times in the same day, or absolutely the same conversation like days in a row, where it was just like slightly different wording. It's not that type of thing. It definitely drip feeds a lot of the big revelations. Like those come pretty deep into the game, I'm not gonna lie. But I think it's kind of fascinating that I have been just like at rapt attention the entire time. Like it feels like when you get like a really excellent like page turner of a book and you just can't stop because you have to find out what's going to happen, and then that chapter just ended on a crazy note. I guess I'm going to have to stay up a couple more hours because I have to see how that resolves. It's that type of storytelling, and I think it's done so well, especially because the characters are just as curious as you, the player, is. And I think that works really well because they're asking everything that you are asking almost at the exact same time that you are asking it. Again, where I think Expedition 33 is like, well, I guess that was weird, but no need to comment on it. No need to. It's fine. Whatever. Like we're not even gonna. You know what? We're not even gonna talk about it. It's fine. We'll just move on. That was some really fucked up shit, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. So exceedingly frustrating to me. I hope Justin finishes that game because I want to do a spoiler cast, because I've got so many issues with the way that game. Okay, one thing that I wanted to talk about here, because I have not been able to get it out of my head since I was listening to No One Can Know About This season 4, where they were playing Final Fantasy VII, and they get to the whole big part with Red 13 in Cosmo Canyon with the Gi tribe and everything, and Red 13 learning the truth about his father Seto's sacrifice and everything, where he had grown up thinking that his father was a coward and blah blah blah. And Jeff and Ryan, they're writers, they're film writers. That's kind of what they wanted. That's what they do, like, for their day job. And they commented that the only reason that this is here is so that Bugenhagen can like have this big revelation to Red 13, because there's no realistic point why this information would not have been imparted to him early on in his life. And I really feel like that's a lot of the stuff in Expedition 33, where it's like, this is only here so that we can have this like crazy reveal later. But really, someone should have asked these questions long before we got here. And we should have had actual proper answers, because there's people who can fucking answer them. And at least Last Defense Academy does you the courtesy of, when you want those answers, like the game will do things to like cut you off from those answers until it's ready to provide them, but it does it in a way that like makes sense in the course of the story, where it's like, like it's almost like the game is trying to actively distract you, right? Like it's not quite this blatant, but it's like, oh well, here's the secret to everything. Oh, big explosion, and now like there's more pressing matters at hand. Like, it's not quite that silly, but it does a good job of kind of pulling you away from the immediacy of that question until the game's ready to answer it for you. And yeah, like 75 hours in, I'm still fucking loving it. And I can't wait to see more, even though, I feel that I might actually be at the point where I've seen everything as far as like what's going on. But I still kind of need to see everything. Like, I think I do need to see all 100 endings, because I just kind of got to know, and then kind of determine, what percentage of those endings was actually like, for lack of a better term, viable. But man, yeah, I'm really digging it. And now I'm going to take a short break, and I'll have something else. I don't know if I'll throw anything in during said break, but yeah.
All right. Oh, yep. No prep for this. Just starting it up. Just recording. Fuck it. Here we go. People always ask me, Justin, what do you think the Garth Brooks of video games is? And I go, I don't know, actually. It's a tough call, right? Do you go with something old that has been iterated upon, a lot? Or do you go with something very, country western? Like, what's a good cowboy game? There's not that many. There's Gun. You'd think there'd be more cowboy games than there actually is. There's Red Dead Redemption, obviously. Obviously, that's the cowboy game. But that's like too new, to be Garth Brooks. But then again, maybe it's not, Then again, there's no rodeos in that game. Garth Brooks has like 2 songs about rodeos. It's crazy. Like, Wild Horses is about rodeos. It's insane. It's a whole thing. Like, it's about, he's calling this girl up. He's going to go to the rodeo. She's not happy about it. But, Wild Horses keep dragging him away because he's fucking Garth Brooks. What are you going to do? What's to be done? Also, there's that, the song Rodeo, which pretty good song. I mean, all said and done. My sister always says she listens to country music because there's a nostalgia factor to it for her. And I'm always like, I don't have that, even though we grew up in the same household, right? I don't really give a shit about country. But I do have it for Garth Brooks. Because I will sit there and listen to the albums of Garth Brooks and be like, you know what? That's pretty good, Garth. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. No Fences is a really good album. No Fences is just an all-around, pretty much a banger. That thing that's a hell of an album. Thunder Rolls, forget about it. That's the opening gambit. Hell yeah, that's good. And then, they had Rope in the Wind, which is, it's fine. Yeah, it's the one that's got rodeo on it. It's got a couple Got a couple good ones on there. In Pieces is really weird. That's the one Julian likes. He likes In Pieces, and it's a good album. It's weird because you can tell that's when Garth started feeling himself a little bit, and he starts doing like, weird blues shit. Like there's just like, I want to say like 2 blues songs on that album, and then there's like a couple other weird ones where he was like, what if I made like Thunder Rolls but not really? And it's kind of odd, but it's interesting. All the songs, like the upbeat songs, are really fun on it though. Like I has Till the Sun Comes Up, or Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, whatever the fuck that song is. It's got Baton Rouge, Calling Baton Rouge. That's a good fucking song. But what is the Garth Brooks of video games? It's tough to say, There's just so few games like Garth Brooks, but I mean, he's just doing country western, really, especially in the beginning, and then he kind of starts to branch off just a little bit. Country music really has a lot to thank him for. So maybe he's like, he might be the Mario. He might be like a Mario, honestly. He might be like a Super Mario Brothers. I don't know if he's that important, but no, maybe he's like a Castlevania. We had Castlevania. It was a good game, and then everybody kind of did their take on it, and nowadays everybody's still doing their take on it because, like, pop country really started to come along with Garth Brooks and like Shania Twain, probably. Those guys. Once it started to do, crossover, Friends in Low Places was a smash hit. Achy Breaky Heart was also a smash hit, but different songs. It's always fun when you just hear a one-hit wonder and it's a one-hit wonder. There's that one, anybody familiar with country music will know exactly what I'm talking about, but those of you that don't, there was a song, it's called, I believe, Fancy Like is the name of it. It might just be Fancy, I'm not exactly sure. But the chorus mentions the dreaded chain restaurant Applebee's. And it's like, we're fancy like Applebee's on a date night. And it goes on to mention a lot of, menu items at Applebee's. And it's not very good. All this to say that, that was their only hit. And they have since disappeared. They tried to, much like Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus did put out another song after Achy Breaky Heart. And it was actually, kind of a heart-wrencher. But nobody gave a shit. Give us Achy Breaky Heart or get the fuck out of here. And that was that. That was his career. Sometimes you can make a song that's too good. We wouldn't have Miley Cyrus if that song was... Well, we might still have Miley Cyrus if that song wouldn't have been as good, right? It's tough to say. I don't know. Because, like, if Billy Ray Cyrus was, like, a moderately successful country musician, right? Let's think alternate timeline. Like, he didn't do Achy Breaky Heart. He did he did the song after Achy Breaky Heart, which was called It Could Have Been Me, if you ever heard that song. It's about... it's a heart-wrenching tale about, and I apologize, you might hear some dogs in the background. It is about an hour before my family reunion when I'm recording this. So you'll just have to bear with me. Yeah, there they are. They're upset. They're upset because people, they get upset. What are you going to do? Anyway, if Billy Ray Cyrus, would have been moderately, like he put out, It Could Have Been Me, a song about like, I want to say it's like he broke up with this girl or she broke up with him, and he's like, seeing her out there, having a good life, and he's like, man, it could have been me. See, that's it. That's the song. It's a heart-wrenching tale. But like, okay, let's say he puts that song out first, and he's a moderate, and people are like, yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus is all right. And he makes, a couple more albums and people like it. What if Miley comes after this, right? if we don't have the smash hit of Achy Breaky Heart. I love how I've turned this podcast into a some kind of alternate universe for country western. If we don't have the smash hit that's Achy Breaky Heart, you know, if we don't have that, Miley Cyrus comes out, and then like people would go, oh, that's Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter. He was a moderately successful country musician. She'll probably do country music, you know? But Billy Ray Cyrus being kind of the flop that he is, Miley was going to come out and do whatever the fuck she wanted, right? You know, that's just how that's going to go. Because it's like, oh, he made that one song that everybody knows. And here we are. Anyway, I think it's like a Mario. I think that's the Garth Brooks of video games. I think it may be. No, Castlevania. We said if you out there have what you think is the Garth Brooks of video games, I'm curious to hear it. I'm sure there's a better answer because I'm kind of freeballing it here. I kind of think it's maybe a Castlevania, right? You know, because like you know, it came out and then everybody kind of did their own, and it just sort of expanded from there, and until it's just a genre that comes out at least twice a month on Steam now, with weird anime girls as the protagonists. But why not, you know? Who's to say they're bad? I don't know. I don't play them. I did play some video games, I guess. I didn't talk about a lot on the last week's podcast. I guess it would be last week's podcast now, because Mike Falk was there, and I was exhausted. I'm just going to say that. I was just exhausted from... I don't know, if you talk to... If you have to listen to that much Final Fantasy 15 talk by two men, you will lose your mind. I mean, you all will listen to it and you'll go, that was good. I liked that. But I was there. So I was basically you. And I was like, what am I supposed to do here? You know, I guess I'm just going to sit here. And also it was very late at night. And I was like, well, I could take a nap right now. I could fall asleep to this argument. This is fun. And see, if you're at home listening to it, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm just taking a nap. This is comfort food. I'll eat this up like popcorn, you know? But I can't do that because at some point they'll be like, okay, Justin, what are your thoughts about these fucking clothes? And I'll be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't really got a whole lot of thoughts on clothes. They are wearing all black. I mean, I wear all black. Maybe I'm a Final Fantasy 15 protagonist and I don't know it. I don't have enough hair though. That's the problem, right? Like I'd have to get more hair. That wouldn't work out. I guess I could wear a hat. Yeah, that's a lot to think about. Anyway, I did play some other video games that I guess I'll talk about now. I also did a thing that I'll really talk about. You know what, let's start with the thing that I really did, just in case, because the video games things, I don't know. I don't even really know. I don't know what there is to talk about. Oh, I played Stellar Blade for about... Let's see what Steam says here, because I'm kind of curious how long I actually played Stellar Blade for. That says a lot right there, because I did not care for it. It's 77 minutes according to Steam, and I think that's because I went and smoked in the middle of it. It's a video game you can play. It's like nothing felt particularly great to me. Like I kept waiting for it to like really. It's just kind of like really basic, honestly. Like that's kind of the problem with it. I didn't find anything particularly like grabbing. Like all the dialogue's awkward as shit. Like when people there's a certain crowd that lost their minds that Stellar Blade was not nominated for any Game Awards stuff. And after playing it, I'm like, those people just are gooners, apparently. They're just, that's what they are. I don't want to call them out or anything, but, it takes one to know one. And my brother, you are gooning a little hard here. Because that's really the only reason to play the game, it seems. Like the storyline, I'm like, I'm sure if I got further in, it might get better. But I felt, as I was going, I felt like I could smell where it was going. I was like, this smells like it's just going to be near one, like the original near. Like I smell it going to that place. But we're it's obviously based on, you know, they really tried hard to go into Near Automata 100%. But it just smelled like the story was going in the original Near direction somehow. Like all of a sudden there was going to be a big twist, and I was going to be like, oh man, people are the natives or whatever the fuck they're fighting. It's people, and we're not people, because we have body shells or whatever the hell. It's people always said it's like Near, but it misses the point. I'm like, yeah, and I after playing it, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of it. Like, of course, you know, Near has its Gooner shit too, but at the same time, like, it's real open about its Gooner shit. It's just like, yeah, it's here, but also, what if it was, you know, really weird and interesting to Justin? That's good, you know, that's good. Anyway, Stellar Blade, I'm probably just gonna uninstall that. It's not very good. I did not like it. Didn't care for it. That's what I played on my own. Let's see, I played at my friend Kim's house, or we'll just say at Kim's house. That shorten it down a little bit, you know. At Kim's house, I played showed her Immortality, which was fun. As dogs are upset, I can't help it. There they are. They're just upset about things. What are you gonna do? What's to be done? It's I you know, I don't like my family either, so I'm glad somebody's, you know, giving them the business. Not true. My family's fine, I guess. They're very white. I had some dirt pudding yesterday. If anybody out there knows what dirt pudding is, it's quite good. It's quite good. If you come from a family with, you know, how do I put it? Culture, you might not know what dirt pudding is. But if you're, you know, raised by white trash, I guess, it's you know, like you crush up some Oreos, you make some, I think chocolate pudding. I think it's chocolate, maybe vanilla. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's a mixture of the two. Not really 100% on that. But you make this pudding. You, I believe, mix it with Cool Whip, like a lot of Cool Whip. And then you put the crushed up Oreos in there. It's very simple. Apparently, according to Mike Fallick, you can jazz it up with some gummy worms. Why you would do that in a chocolate dish, I don't understand. But, you know, it's for the kids. You know, the kids will dig it. And they'll be like, oh, look, there's a worm in it. It's dirt pudding, you know. It's made to look like dirt. It's quite good. If you never had it, quite good. Highly suggested. So they have that going on. I don't even remember where I was going. I just got caught up in the euphoria of dirt pudding there for a minute. Anyway, I played played Immortality with Kim, and it was tough because I was the one controlling it. I wanted them to do it, but they're still a little gun shy on holding a controller, and I was like, it's fine. I get it. So I was doing it for them. And it's tough when you know exactly how that game works and how not to spoil it. So I just kept going, okay, I will just refuse to spoil it until, like, there's something that they notice and we accidentally stumble upon it. Like, right, like that was the natural thing. Because I was making them pick, in Immortality, if you never played it, you just pick the objects. It's an FMV game, kind of. And you just kind of pick objects and it plays a scene out, and then you can rewind and, you know, stuff happens. So knowing the twist was tough. So I basically just had to let us stumble upon it. And then eventually I was like, okay, so here's how we do all of this. So we're not sitting here for hours upon hours. Now, you know, something weird's going on. Here it is. And then played that. They liked it. They liked it a lot. It was pretty fun. We had a good time making fun of the wigs. Those are bad wigs. They're still bad. There's no saving those wigs. It's funny because I wonder, there's a certain scene, I will say, that's at the very end of the game And I kind of wonder if they made it and went, oh shit, the wig is really bad and we can't make it any better there. What if we just matched all the other scenes to this wig in this one? It would take somebody that's played that game and goes back to it to kind of understand what I mean there. But like, I wonder if that's what happened with it. Because it's a bad wig. It's just a bad wig. Just not good. And the other wigs are fine in the game. It's just that one, you know? Anyway, Immortality was a hit. I have also bought for them Doki Doki Literature Club. And what's fun about that is they don't know. They have no idea. So what, from the outside looking in, when I was buying it, they were like, what are you doing? Why are we going to play this? And I was like, I don't know. It might be funny. I'll make fun of it the whole time. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Why not? Let's play the weird anime dating game. And I'm like, yeah, let's play the weird anime dating game. It's going to go great. So looking forward to that. We'll update soon. It is the one version that I haven't messed with, I think, which is the, what is it? The Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, because it's on the PlayStation, where they do the whole fake UI stuff. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out.
All right, and I'm back, or I never left, depending on how the editing of this thing goes. So, other thing I was trying to think of, like what's something that I would like to talk about that normally I wouldn't bring up, or Justin wouldn't really care much about. And I picked up the Transformers Compendium 1. This just got published by Image Comics, and it is the first 46 issues of the original Marvel Comics Transformers, and the 4-issue Headmasters Limited series, which is a vital limited series because it introduces literally the new leaders for the Autobots and Decepticons moving forward in the main series from there. And this is just, and I guess Volume 2 is going to publish the rest, although I don't think, I guess the only thing it's missing is the G.I. Joe Transformers Limited series, because I think that happens in this time frame. So, but otherwise it's complete, including issue 3, which guest starred Spider-Man, because the fun thing about Marvel at this time is that all of their licensed comics were technically supposed to be canon in the Marvel universe, which leads to really bizarre things. Like there's an entire important story arc in Uncanny X-Men that has to do with the alien villains from ROM Space Knight, which is, like ROM never appears in the X-Men comic, but the characters that they're fighting are from ROM, and so it's like canon in a really weird way. And I think Transformers originally was supposed to be, again, it was supposed to be canon, but the only thing that ever came of it was the one issue with Spider-Man guest starring. There's a recurring wealthy businessman named GB Blackrock who he's throughout the entire series. And I think, what I heard is originally he was going to be Tony Stark, and then I guess they pulled back from that decision, which was probably the right way to go. I think Transformers works better when it's its own universe and not shoehorned with the rest of the stuff. Because why wouldn't the Avengers constantly be stepping in to fight Decepticons and shit? It doesn't really make any sense. But I wanted to talk about this because I used to have most of these issues. I used to have a lot of comics, but I actually the last apartment that I lived in before I moved into this house, it had a storage like a little separate storage room, and I put all my comics in there, but like I didn't have like it didn't lock, and I was like, it'll be fine. It wasn't fine. When I went to go move out, all the comics were gone, and I was sad for a beat because, like, at least the first couple of those boxes were like the comics that I like, my first comics, like from when I was a kid, including like Transformers and like my first superhero comics like Silver Surfer and Iron Man from like 1989, 1990. But honestly, it was kind of like a burden had been lifted off of my shoulders, so I didn't have to worry about lugging them around anymore. But some of the stuff that was like really important to me, I've been trying to like reacquire in like a nicer form, right? So like my collection of the X-Men, the Claremont stuff, like I'm doing it in the omnibus form because it's like it's nice to read. I like reading them that way, but also like they're really nice on a shelf. They're you're not having to sift through boxes to get individual floppies. But Transformers is one of those where I've really been wanting to revisit it because the Marvel Comics Transformers is kind of really the reason that Transformers is so important to me. Bob Budiansky, who was like one of the main writers on the comic, was also the guy who wrote the bios for all of the Transformers for like the toy line, at least the initial toy line. And then they used that to inform the cartoon. So he was, basically like a lot of like the cartoon and therefore the movie comes from the Marvel comic in a weird roundabout way, but not entirely. Actually, not only up to a point, really only up to like the personalities of the characters and their abilities. It's really interesting because it was originally only going to be a 4-issue limited series. And then the last page of issue 4 is Shockwave killing all of the Autobots in one shot. And then they're like, oh, this isn't the end, which was like a really kind of cool way of ending a limited series. But like the cartoon, a lot of the comic was, to introduce the toy line, right? So like you'll get these issues where it's like, well, time to introduce like 6 new Decepticons and 6 new Autobots. And here's like this, 6 or 8 issue story arc that revolves around these characters. But it was done in like a really cool way. And like, it's a lot darker and a lot more realistic than the cartoon was. I think one of the coolest things is that they are very much in disguise the whole time. Like, in the cartoon, like the Autobots are heroes and there's like Transformers Day and stuff like that. And they're just like kind of out there doing their thing and everybody's like pretty happy about it. But in the comic, they're very much on the down low. And, once the American government gets wind of them, they put together like task forces and like military operations to destroy the robots. They just lump them all together. And then you also have like various humans that come and go through the course of the story that are either, helping the Autobots or really distrustful of all of the robots. Like there's a character that was, she was, as far as I know, only in the Transformers comic, but she was rendered paraplegic because of a fight between the Autobots and Decepticons. But then through, comic book logic, she ended up getting the power to control circuitry and was able to like kind of encase herself in some sort of like metallic like exoskeleton almost. And she was able to like fly and move around and stuff, and could also like really fuck up electronics, including Transformers. And she was called Circuit Breaker. And she's also in the series for like most of the book. Like she's there towards the end of the run, but it goes into like some really cool places because like they kill Optimus, obviously, because they killed him in the movie, but not in the same way. And then eventually Megatron doesn't die. You think he's dead, but he vanishes for like most of the series. I think it's in like the 20s when when both of those characters are out of the game. But the way that they get replaced is not what you're expecting. So like Grimlock ends up becoming the leader of the Autobots, but he declares himself king. And I've been thinking about that whole bit for a lot lately for reasons, because he's an idiot. He's like a moronic king that ends up leading the Autobots into a civil war, which is kind of crazy. And like the main foil to his plans is Blaster, of all people. Like Blaster in the Marvel comic is kind of this gruff badass, and he's like a really cool character. But then the leader of the Decepticons after Megatron is fucking Ratbat, which is, you know, in the toy line and in the cartoon, just one of Soundwave's cassettes. But in the comic book, he's like this tactical mastermind that takes over the Decepticons, and he's the leader for like a really long time. It's really crazy. There's also just like some really weird issues in here, like the one where this like 2-bit wannabe criminal finds this gun that could fire laser blasts, and it's Megatron, but Megatron had lost his ability to think for himself after like a previous fight with Ratchet. And so he's basically just this guy's weapon for like this whole issue. And then eventually like he gets his will back, and he's like, you know, I'm not going to destroy you, even though I should, but I'm just going to destroy everything that you acquired while you had me. And he just like blows up the guy's mansion and cars and just walks away. It's like a really cool issue. I love the Marvel Comics Transformers. I think the stuff that IDW did like way later is the best of Transformers comics, although I've heard like the current stuff is really good. I haven't checked that out yet. But for the time, this stuff was really good and way crazier than you would think for a comic that was, you know, ostensibly designed to sell toys. And I think a lot of like all of the writers like really, they would introduce the characters that they were mandated to introduce, but then they would do really cool things with them and then work them into the story that they were already working on. And then once you get to like Simon Furman, which will be in the second volume, he really kind of codified like a lot of Transformers lore that exists to this day. Although the Matrix of Leadership does appear in this first volume. It's fairly early. It's a very different interpretation of the Matrix than what you see in the animated movie. But I think the concept was already in the works when the comic book was published, and then it was just realized in a different way for the movie. But the Simon Furman stuff, there, like he's the one that introduces Primus and has like an actual historical lore for Unicron and the Quintessons that was not really broached in the cartoon series. And a lot of that stuff still is maintained to this day, albeit in different configurations, and kind of, you know, everybody takes a different tweak depending on if it's a new cartoon series or a new comic book series, but the core is almost always there. So yeah, it's really cool. I think this whole thing was $65. It's soft cover, but I mean, it's 50 damn issues, man. That's really nice. Like if this was an omnibus, like this thing would have been like, you know, almost $300 probably. But I'm looking forward to going through it because especially early on, right? Like in that first limited series, like you can tell that they didn't really have a lot to work with. Like the artists were kind of using the toy line as the basis for the character designs. So like, you know, for example, Ratchet and Ironhide look like the weird toy versions where they're basically like, they don't have faces and their lower bodies are kind of like treadmill type things. But then as you get fairly quickly, you know, you start to see more of the like animated series designs kind of come in. And then as it gets deeper into it, like artists start to kind of do their own thing. Like, for example, in the comic, Megatron always has like his kind of head helmet piece is black instead of the silver that he is in the cartoons, and he has yellow eyes instead of red, and that kind of carries forth like through the whole series in the Marvel comics. Little things like that, but for the most part, you know, you definitely see it like kind of gain its identity, you know, as it goes. And again, it goes to some really cool and weird places, man. I'm looking forward to revisiting this, and hopefully it sold well enough for them to publish volume 2. I think that would be the worst thing, is if like they never publish volume 2, because I haven't seen it for pre-order yet. But it's really cool, man. I recommend, like, if you're even like halfway interested in Transformers, again, I think the comics is where it's at, and it's a trip, like, going back through it. And if you've never experienced the Marvel Comics run of Transformers, this is a really cool way to check it out. And I think you'll be really surprised if you're a fan of Transformers at all. You'll be like, man, that went to some places. But I think that's going to be it for me. I really gotta, you know, get ready for this meeting Justin in a little bit, and then gonna shop around our game. So thanks for listening. I'll come back around at the very end to kind of do an outro or whatever. And also I've got another thing to introduce that was like something that me and Mike did, sort of. So I'll kind of come back and introduce that. But next up should be whatever Justin is bringing to the table. Yeah, hopefully you guys don't mind these weird format episodes, because there might be another one later, like when I go on no, actually that'll probably be an actual vacation where I just like stay at home the whole week. So that'll probably just be a regular episode. I'll just have like a shit ton of games to talk about that time. But yeah, I'm rambling now. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Let's see, what else did I do? I'm sure I've been still hammering through Cyberpunk. Almost done with it. Almost done with that. That's still going well. My build really came together. It's in a really great way. I am just ducking behind cover and silence pistol shooting people in the head, and before anything ever pops off. It's that DLC really made that build for me. It's going well. What else? I'm trying to think. Of course, the big thing I did. One Mike Fallick had informed me, I believe, on his podcast, which I believe is Soft Lock. If you haven't listened to that, I was on that. And we talked. We were at Kim's house, and I was talking to them, and they were like, hey, did you know that the Sandusky Mall is going to have professional wrestling in it? And that's Sandusky is that's my town. That's where I'm from. I'm basically what's his name? Chris Farley in that movie. Where Sandusky is like very important to him. Which that movie always pissed me off. What is that? Tommy Boy, I think. That movie always pissed me off because nothing is actually filmed in Sandusky. And it's not that it's like, oh, they didn't film anything in Sandusky. That's bullshit. No, there's a part where they go, look at the town of Sandusky. And I'm like, none of this is in Sandusky. This is like maybe Fremont, if you're lucky. This is not Sandusky. And that's what hurt my feelings as a kid. Cause I went, because they show that part, and I'm watching it with my mother in the room. Why she's letting me watch this, I don't know. I think it might have just been on, and I was there. And I go, Mom, where in Sandusky, where the town we live in and that I grew up in, where are these things? Can we go visit them? Because they're in this movie. They're famous now. And she's like, none of that's here. They probably didn't film that here, Justin. And I was like, I was very let down. I haven't really forgiven Chris Farley since. Not gonna lie to you. It's a little bit of a letdown. But anyway, Yeah, Sandusky. The Sandusky Mall is like, a lot of malls where it's just like, I'd consider it pretty much dead, and I'm shocked that it's still there most of the time. But going into the mall itself now, having not been there for a few years, I'm actually surprised that there are as many stores as there are. It's kind of fucking wild. There, there's a bookstore. It's pretty decent. It's, it wishes it was Barnes and Noble, but it's that, who cares? It's not. But it's doing a good job of acting, pretending to be. That's all it needs to do. There's a store, and I don't know if any of you out there have it. It might be a chain, it might not be. I'm not really sure. They have a rewards program which says this is probably a chain. I've never heard of it. It's called Sweets and Geeks, which is makes me want to die inside when I say the name of it. But it's basically like, hey, we have a candy store that has, just a bunch of candy, weird candy, probably all the candy you can think of. Come get it here. And also Dungeons and Dragons shit, and all the weird anime stuff, video game stuff. It's not like huge, like their selection is not like insane or anything, but like you can go there to buy Magic the Gathering cards, and they have singles out for you to buy, which is crazy. So it's like a card shop, but also candy. And my mind is blown and they have a rewards program, and I don't know if it's like a chain. If it is, let me know. I don't feel like looking into it. I could, but I'm not going to. You tell me if it's a chain. Make sure to tag me on Discord, because I don't really get on there very much. I forget it exists most of the time. I'm really bad about it. And then I check it like right before we record the podcast. And I'm like, oh man, people have been talking in here. I'm really bad about socializing on the internet anymore. But yeah, professional wrestling was happening at the Sandusky Mall, and I was like, okay, well, the mall is like dead, right? And then I went in and I was like, oh no, it actually has more stores than I thought it did. That's cool. There's an arcade there. It's a whole thing. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Where are they gonna do this at? Because it's not like the Mall of America. Like, there's no like big center court type thing to do this in. And they were just like, no, we'll just do it in the hallway. It's fine. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever, man. So I go in there, and they're I'm like, okay, how are they going to do this? They have a whole section kind of, I want to say, roped off. It's that like almost like seatbelt pylon moving thing off. I don't know what that is. It always intrigues me because it's always like made out of seatbelt material, whatever that is. And it's they have that. They actually have seats. They're all full by the time we get there, because we kind of got there last minute. Because honestly, I was like, who the fuck is even gonna show up for this? Like, I didn't expect anybody to be there, but there was an actual pretty good crowd for it. I was shocked. I was like, wow, wrestling at the mall has a pretty good sized audience, and it was definitely a lot of people like, oh, I'm at the mall, and I'm gonna stop and watch this thing for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna kind of have a chuckle, and I'm gonna move on. And that was a lot of people. But there was like a good sized crowd. Most of it kids. You could tell a lot of people were just like, I'm gonna bring my kids and we'll watch the wrestling. Like a lot of the voices and chants were all children, and that was fun. So you have to keep the wrestling PG. You're not lighting tables on fire. You're not gonna, you're not busting out the thumbtacks just yet. All right, these kids aren't ready for that shit. They'll have nightmares. It'll scar them for life, or turn them into professional wrestling fans for life, and that's fate worse than death. Let me tell you. So I'm like, so we get there, and I'm like, okay, well, we can hang out. We'll hang out in like the fucking aisleway, like right in front of a store. I believe I was right on the right next to the entrance of a fucking American Eagle, just watching professional wrestling for a good long while, and then I switched sides, and then I was on the side of the hat store, which was funny because I like the hat store. Haven't been in there in a while. Should have went in. Should have went in. Should have just seen what hats are what. I haven't been in there in a minute. Should have done that. Didn't do it. Anyway, so we're watching. Oh, I hit my microphone there. Sorry. So we're watching the wrestling, and this is the first match, and I'm like, okay, how is all this? We kind of, like I said, we showed up a little late, so the first match is kind of going. The entrances are hitting as we're walking up, and I'm like, okay, so we missed like an entrance, and that was about it. And then the men are entering the ring. One guy is coming out to an old Kanye West song, which was a bold choice, but Kanye wasn't in the song, so why not? Well, he's in the song eventually, but he's later on in the track. The song's called Two Words, I believe, is the name of the song, but it's got mostly Most Def in it. Most Def is like the opening rapper, and that's fine. Most Def's great. It's funny that I was just like, bold choice to pick Kanye here, but why not? So yeah, it's one of those kind of indie shows. We don't give a shit about copyright. We're coming out swinging. First match it goes on. It's actually not too bad. One guy is doing his thing. Just kind of generic wrestler guy. The other guy is definitely going for Effie. If anybody is familiar with the professional wrestler Effie. They are going for that, which I respected for a mall show with children. And the Effie wrestler won, which was good. It wasn't the worst match I've ever seen. That was actually maybe the best match on the card. Was the first one. They opened pretty strong. One guy had a spot that I was like, you should probably not be doing that spot, because you're a little afraid to throw it. Where he misses a kick and then he comes back around, and when he came back around, you could tell that like he's afraid to actually like hurt somebody coming back around with the kick. And I was like, you should probably just not do that spot, man. Like, I don't mean to be a dick, but just don't. I had a lot of notes when I was watching this. That's to say that the wrestling was fine. It wasn't the worst wrestling you'll ever see. But then again, it's that kind of thing. Like, you could tell there was training. You could tell they did their best. They were putting matches together, but not exactly anything you're going to be like, holy shit, I got to see that again. Like, it was nothing like that. I took Kim there, or she took me. We took each other. They had a great time watching this. They really did. They've never seen live wrestling before, so that was a thing, and getting to be up close to it, it's very fun. When in the American Eagle, what is that called, that fucking like the entranceway, there's a name for it, and then it's eluding me right now, but we're standing there, and it's right next to the curtain where they come through. And so, like, one guy is going to be in a tag match, and I can't remember what his name was, but his gimmick was that he was crazy and from the swamp, right? He was kind of going for the boogeyman, is what he was doing. So he was going to crawl in all the way to the ring, right? He's going to set a mood. He's going to play some mind games, and like, so he's running. So they have. He's running from where their locker rooms, wherever they're changing from, which I'll get to in a second. And he runs there, and then all of a sudden he stops right before the aisleway, or right before the curtain, drops down and starts crawling. And I'm watching all of this because there's no way he can hide it. There's no like actual back room where these guys are doing this at. And I'm just like, oh man. And I'm like, oh man, they're gonna see this and just be like, what the fuck? And they just started laughing, and I'm like, okay, thank God they can find the humor in this, and we can move on. But yeah, like this is the type of indie show it was. And we had a man at the announce table. he was the DJ. That was what he kept telling people. He was the DJ. And then in a surprise twist during this tag match with the man who was, reportedly crazy, and from the swamp, I guess. I don't really know where he was from. The DJ was like, had to, break the bad news that some wrestler did not show up. And so, but taking their place, would be him, the DJ. And so he, got up from the table, the announce table, and, took his pants off, very Chippendale style, just ripped them right off, and then got in the ring and had a match. It wasn't a great match. I'll give credit to the heel wrestlers, because there was one guy who, his job was to go out there and make the crowd hate him. This is how indie wrestling works, and I had to explain a lot of this to Kim while I was there. And so I said, okay, listen, this isn't like WWE, right? You have about roughly 2 to 5 minutes to come out and establish your fucking character. Like, you got to do this within the entrance. If they're gonna give you a little bit of time, probably, because you're gonna need to get in an argument with somebody in the crowd. You got to make yourself disliked, and he did it by telling the crowd to shut their mouths. By the book heel work. He did fine. It wasn't anything you were gonna write home about. But it was fine. So then I think, we watched that match. I think we went, there was a women's match, which was interesting. There was one girl, and then, it wasn't interesting because it was a women's match. Well, it was. And there was I'm going to assume a trans woman, was the opponent. They had the only reason I can really assume that is they had the colors on, and, yeah, it basically, I'm pretty sure it was a trans woman, and they called it a women's match, and I was like, you know what, for Sandusky Mall wrestling, this is pretty progressive. I'm kind of into that. I was kind of shocked. The only thing was the trans woman was the heel of the match, but at the same time, they're a lot bigger. So if you're doing the underdog story, because this girl was young, I didn't notice how young she was until later on, when all the wrestlers are out of their gear now and they're kind of just mingling in the crowd a little bit. And I just took a look at her. I was like, that girl is really young. I was like, holy shit, she's young. Like, if she's even out of high school, I'd be shocked. But good for her. She had a finisher, was the sliced bread number 2. Pulled it off pretty well. She had a really good elbow. That was my assessment of that, actually. She had a really solid Nikki Bella-esque elbow. I know the Bella twins are not well regarded for their greatness in professional wrestling, but everybody has their one thing where I'm like, you do that good though. Nikki Bella throws a pretty good elbow. This girl very much throws the Nikki Bella elbow. I'll give her that. Anyway, I don't remember what her name is. I don't remember any of their names. I don't think that was the sound was terrible because it was in the mall and they had their own, sound system, obviously, but it's mall acoustics. So everything's echoing everywhere. It was just kind of dreadful. Like I couldn't make out a single fucking word this guy said other than like it was so. Somebody really needs to work with them on audio equipment or just, levels, basic stuff. Probably want to work on that. The main event was there was 2 tag teams that were coming out. After the women's match, we went and had a cigarette, and then we were on the other side. You can actually find the main event on YouTube to the Sandusky Mall Wrestling Show if you're interested. I showed it to Mike Fallick and Julian Titus last week, actually. You look up American Lucha Core Wrestling, or American Lucha Core, like hardcore, but Lucha Core. There you go. And you'll find it. That was, I somehow randomly remembered their name and found it through that. It's on there. The main event was I want to say the tag team champions were going to show up. and they're but only one. It's like, okay, back in the day we do these angles where okay, we're gonna have a tag team title match, right? But we're not gonna have it right now, so we're gonna have one member of each team in a singles match, right? I was like, okay, we're booking long term here. This is something. We're gonna hope people follow the wrestling, and so we'll go to the next thing. When I seen what they were doing, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But so we have one guy from one team. He has a mask. He looks like he's basically, he watched Psychosis growing up, if maybe, and he was really into that aesthetic. But also, what if I just wore a shirt, like a regular cutoff shirt? I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really work for me. Some of these guys there was a match before the main event, by the way, where like it was two guys and they both had similar builds, both wearing the same exact color scheme and the same exact kind of thing, but one guy had a mask. But it got really, really confusing to watch. Like, that was my biggest note. And they were like, oh yeah, come, take pictures with us after the show and do all this stuff. I was like, you guys aren't actually that famous. I don't know why anybody would want to do that except children. And that's cool if there was children taking pictures with them. That's great. But I wanted to go up to them and be like, listen, you guys, one of you needs to change the color scheme if you're going to keep doing this match. All right. One of you needs to, we can't keep track. Keep the mask. One of you take your shirt off or something, because like it's really hard to keep track. Like it was. They're both wearing black and red and pants and a shirt, and it's like, okay, or tank top, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm having a really hard time following this. Just watching from the crowd. It's important to differentiate yourself from your opponent, especially on the indie scene, because like I'm just like, which one was which? I don't remember. One of them had a mask on. That's all I remember. I did appreciate the one guy selling his leg on the way out. I was like, you know what, you did a good job, and he kept doing it all the way to the back. Which, by the way, the locker room, I'm gonna guess, was all the way in just like some abandoned store in the mall. They were just like, you guys can have this and you can change here. And so at one point when I was coming back from smoking a cigarette, one of the guys was making their entrance, and he like was late, I'm guessing, and he fucking was running and had to dodge my slow ass. It was a whole thing. He got there in time though. It was one of the guys from this match, by the way, that I couldn't differentiate. So that's kind of on them. Anyway, main event. So we have a singles match with a tag team element. I'm gonna guess one of the guys in the tag team was like actually hurt or something. He had some spots though, so he probably wasn't actually hurt, but he wasn't wrestling. He's in street clothes, and so we have our Psychosis ripoff, but the heel tag team. Now I'm not saying now all these guys are, I'm gonna guess they're a little newer to actually wrestling. They're probably still learning. There's a lot of stuff they all have to work on, obviously. But these guys, I would say they have something. And it's one of those like X factors that you can't actually teach. Like, okay, there's a wrestler named MJF. You may have heard Julian and I talk about him. He's a heel guy. He is really, really good at talking shit. He's great. He's phenomenal. Always stays in character. But he also has the X factor of being just a guy that you look at and you go, I hope that guy gets punched in the fucking face because I hate him. Like, he just has that. You can't teach that factor. Like, you just, like, when you look at someone and you just hate them, that is an X factor in professional wrestling that you cannot teach. And these two kids, they looked very young. I don't know how old they were. I would have loved to find out, actually. They were very young, kind of skinny, definitely, but like that doesn't mean anything. But they had like the emo boy haircuts. They were, pretty, handsome boys, and they were, you know, the cowardly heels, and I was just like, yeah, they like, you just looked at them with their fucking haircuts, and you're just like, I hope they lose. You know, that's an X factor you can't teach in wrestling. So they have something there. I just have to get better at actually wrestling, of course. But so you know, they do the singles match. I think the way it ends is the heels do something and either get themselves disqualified or counted out or something like that. They leave. They're on their way out of the ring. And I want to or something. They get something happens. Some pro wrestling shenanigans happen, and it was very against the spirit of pro wrestling. You know the type. But we cue in then. Well, the one guy's hurt, so he can't. You know, so he's getting beat up. And then here comes another wrestler man to save the day, and he's the champion of the promotion, and he's going to save the day. And so they fight those guys back off, and now we're going to have a tag team match. The heels are not happy about it, but we're going to do it. It's happening. And so, you know, we're out in the crowd, we're brawling all around, and the kids are loving it because, and this was funny. There's an indie wrestling spot where, okay, I'm the good guy. I'm going to take the bad guy. I'm going to, you know, lock his arms up behind his back, and I'm going to let somebody in the crowd take a shot at him. Not in the face, because because at an indie show, a real indie show, everybody's in on it. We all know what's going on. We know not to hit, you know, we're not actually going to fucking take a shot at these people. But they're at the Sandusky Mall. So not everybody may be into that. And also it's a lot of children, a lot of kids, but we're doing that spot because we've seen it done, and it's a lot of fun. It gets the crowd going. Sure does. So they're doing that spot. They're walking around up front, and they're opening the heels up, and they're just letting these kids take shots at them. And these kids are fucking lining up. And at some point, you know, they kind of break out, and they're right in front of me at one point. They're fighting, and they got not outside in the aisleway, although maybe it was. I can't remember. But they're doing the spot, and the champion is holding this emo boy's arms behind his back, and these kids fucking run in a pack, and they are just fucking winding up and hitting this kid as hard as they fucking can in his chest. And eventually, and it's funny because I'm looking in the background, and I can tell, like, there's a couple people that are the referees of the match. I want to say it's like one or two of them they had all together for the whole night. And this guy sees this happening, and he's like, and the guy holding his arms is like, okay, kids, you gotta go sit down. It's the whole thing. And this referee sees it, and he's like, you guys got to get this shit in the ring right now. This is getting out of hand. And because it is, these kids are like, they are trying to help these guys fight. And I'm like, this is great. This is kind of great. So they get it in the ring. They do the matches, you know, it is what it is. And you can watch this on YouTube, this thing I'm talking about. You won't see all of this. You won't see all the little details that I got to see, but you'll get the gist. Is it the greatest professional wrestling you'll ever witness? Absolutely not. But there's something to that. And so the entire time this was happening, I was commentating the matches, which was very fun to me. I had a great time doing it. I realized my commentary styles is that of Joey Styles from ECW, where I'm just calling move for move. And I'm very upset when people break the rules. I'm just not into it. But then again, there was no rules in ECW, so you didn't really have a lot of that. But it's just like, you know, just calling every hammerlock, wrist lock, go behind, German suplex type shit. Like, it's just that's what I did. I just did that the entire time. Because that was entertaining to me. and it was making my friend Kim laugh, and that was important to me. So we had a great time. Pro wrestling at the Sandusky Mall, catch the fever. Let me tell you. Well, if I can think of anything else, I'll let you know. But I'll just save it for next time. That's this thing. I should have been mentioning before more often that we have a meeting, Julian and I, about something. I'll have to go quiet these dogs down before it is. It's a very important meeting, and they're not going to stand for it. But yeah, we got to go do that. I'm not really looking forward to this meeting. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it'll go okay. I don't have high hopes though. I don't really have high hopes. Yeah. So, I'm gonna get going for that, and I'll leave you all to do whatever the fuck you do. Goodbye.
Oh, hey, I'm back. This was supposed to be the part where I introduce the thing with that was special, but the special thing was supposed to be just me dropping in the episode of Mike Fallick's Soft Lock podcast that I was on, because I just kind of wanted the show to be around 2 hours or so, and I figured me and Justin would record half an hour each, and then that's about an hour, so there you go, Bob's your uncle. But I'm too dumb to figure out how to actually get his podcast into here for editing, because everything's app based now, so I can't just like download the MP3 anywhere that I could find. And I guess I could ask Mike for the actual audio file, but I don't have time for that. This is all coming together in a crunch. So Justin actually went a little longer than what was needed, so I think we're pretty good. I'll just talk a little bit more about one thing that happened since I recorded the rest of the stuff that I didn't know at the time, which is that the new VTuber Sameko Saba debuted last weekend. As I'm recording this, it was actually June 28th. It was a Saturday. It's considered poor form to when a VTuber changes personas, it's poor form to outright say who they were previously. It's a little bit difficult to I'm not going to say it outright on this show just out of respect, but you can do some very cursory research and figure out very quickly who Sameko Saba used to be. It's honestly kind of surprising that she stuck with the same type of theme for her character, right down to the fact that a lot of the there's a lot of nods to her older persona's design in her current design. But I guess when you were one of the biggest VTubers in the world, you kind of, I don't know, I guess on one hand you could say it's cool that she's kind of honoring that legacy. On the other hand, you would have thought that maybe she wanted to get as far away from that as she could, but I don't know, it is kind of cool. She has a paper boat as one of her symbols, and she said that it's something that floats but can be easily torn, which I thought that was a pretty poignant statement. Kind of really goes into why she left the corporate world of VTubing and went independent. But I don't know, not much to say about it. It's just kind of I keep as I get into this whole VTubing thing, it really does, the more I think about it, remind me of pro wrestling. But the thing about pro wrestling is that there was always that chance that someone that went out to another company would come back later on, right? You would get that really nice pop off when someone went to WCW and then came back to WWE, or, you know, in a more modern sense. A real big one recently was CM Punk coming back to WWE after being at AEW for a few years. That was kind of a huge deal, especially considering the way that Punk left WWE, and whether you like him or not, it was still kind of a big deal that he came back. But that's not a possibility here, and that's kind of the thing that I think continues to make it sad, is that even if the person behind this character is still VTubing, and you know, I think for her hardcore fans, that's all you need. You don't get those interactions with the other people from the corporation that are still under that umbrella, and they can't work together. Like, it's kind of this weird thing, and I don't know if it's like a contractual thing or if it's just more of like to not confuse like the more passive fans, because I have seen where Hololive VTubers have done collaborations with VTubers that are either independent or from other companies, but I feel that this is like a bridge that can't be crossed, where even if she did want to do stuff with her old colleagues, I don't think that she could. And I think that's kind of at the end of the day, that's kind of the big bummer for a fan like me, who is not necessarily like a big fan of her as a solo act, but really enjoyed seeing her interact with other talent. And now that's just not a thing, especially as we have like a, you know, big concert coming up, and, you know, she's not going to be performing at that concert. It's just like kind of a pretty large hole left, but it's cool that she's doing her own thing. She seems very enthusiastic about it, and like very excited. And, you know, I guess it's, I mean, I looked at her numbers. She's already at like near 1 million subscribers on YouTube. But that's still a fraction of what she had before. So maybe it's enough to really scale things back as far as the audience, but more than that, not be the face of not only an entire company, but an entire industry. Getting away from that character may be just the thing that she needed for her mental health. Who knows? You know, we'll probably never know, but it's cool that she's back in some form or fashion. And there's already 2 of her other colleagues who had left that have gone independent, so there's a lot of excitement about the 3 of them getting together to do things. And then the 4th person who left, she has like serious health problems, and she's already said that she's not going to be going back to streaming or anything. So that's kind of a bummer, but maybe she'll do like an original song with one of them. You know, she can probably still pull that off. But yeah, that's probably enough silly meandering about that stuff. I really do need to meet up with Justin for that meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and take off, and I will see you guys next week. We'll be live in the studio again next week. Appreciate you guys with your patience for kind of a more chaotic schedule the last few episodes, what with not E3, you know, having to lease out the place to Key Jeff Lee's, and then being gone for a week, and you know, it's been a little more chaotic around the studio than it normally is around the studio. So appreciate your patience, and we will be back next week. Bye. Oh man, Justin, I'm so excited about this game. I think we've got something really special here. I think.
Oh, we made a game?
Yeah, man. We've been working on it, man. It's like our passion project, man. Don't you?
Oh.
You know, like.
Oh, I got real into crystal meth for a while there, so you know,
me too.
I don't remember.
Keep HR away. Knock, knock, knock. How are you? Head of the company here.
Hi.
Head of the no. We're independent.
No.
Who are you?
Yeah, listen, you stumbled your way into my office, so I'll make you a deal anyway. You got a video game?
Apparently we do.
Yeah, we're Space Monkey Mafia Games working on a very special, very.
I agreed to that name. What was I thinking?
It's golden. It's got to go great. It's got to go great with people who. Listen, let me tell you something. There's a lot of people in the world. They love mafias. They love crime lords. They love shakedowns. They love it. They love it.
People love mafias. They sure do.
They do love mafias. It's crazy how much they love them. It's a really weird fact, but they do love them.
They do.
No, you're right. But they go gaga over them. If you would ever be, I mean, the way that those people threaten you, I love it. So I like to just see, as an CEO, I like to see someone threaten someone and get away with it.
Wait, who? I'm confused. Who are you?
I'm Billy Buttons. Billy Buttons.
Are you threatening me right now?
Probably.
Okay,
Not
good.
yet.
That's cool. Yeah.
Let me buy you dinner first. Here's the thing, fellas. Your game's great. I've seen it. I've pretended to seen it now for at least 4 minutes.
Right. No, that's fair.
How much you want for this thing? We got big plans.
Well, no. See, it's not for sale because it's a very personal, very unique. Yeah, that's fine. I guess it's your office, so you do what you want. It's a very unique independent game. You see, what we've done is we grew up with the Super Nintendo and those types of graphics, and so what we've done is we've taken the graphics that we loved as children, and then we've made a video game in that style that nobody's ever done that before.
Wow.
But the trick is
I have some bad news.
No, but listen.
Okay.
The game is about depression and anxiety. It's revolutionary and it's very personal. No one's ever done it.
This is beautiful. Your story has moved me. It's like on Shark Tank. I'm going to reach across the table, give you a big glory hug. Me, you, Mr. Miracle, and all of our muffins that you come in a jar. Real product he sells, jar muffins. Listen, we got big plans for it. We're going to put you in Fortnite. We're going to, I hear what you're saying.
Fortnite.
We're going to get your game in Fortnite. You already got a server there. You got a little server at home. We're probably going to sell that. Put some people on there. We got like a couple gigs. We can right now, server farms are like Akira. That's what I call them. I call them Akira. And anything I got, old calculators, any memory I can hook up to these server farms, I just chuck them in there. Put a microwave in there. It's got like half a megabyte of RAM so it can remember your popcorn settings. Throw it in there. I don't care. Yeah. So give me your computer. And thank you.
Wait.
And so this will be a server farm. Hey, Akira, come here. This Akira, big slime monster psychically powered from Japan. You put it in the server. Thank you, Akira.
Wait, I'm confused. Is their name Akira or is the server farm Akira?
You ever stare at a psychic blob boy in the face? It's not easy to make conversation. He responds to Akira. I don't really,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't want to play around too.
Right.
You play with the tiger, you get tiger scratches.
You know how tigers are.
Listen, fellas, this was great. What's your next game?
No, but Mr. Buttons, look. We walked through the lilies is just a very personal project. I just don't know that we need it in Fortnite and like just all of that commercial bullshit.
It's in there.
It's in there? We didn't even sign a contract.
Ain't you seen the ninja do your little lily game in the Fortnite? It's in there.
No. Well, I mean,
it's already there. Thank good for doing business with you guys.
Good.
What do you do now?
I mean, Julian, it's fine. It'll spread the message of the game, and people will buy it.
Yeah. Just on that, if you see it and it looks a lot like Bert and Ernie, people might say, "What's the name of your game?" Bert and Ernie count. Bert and Ernie counting.
No.
Bert and Ernie counting.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what? Oh, we're changing it.
Well, we figured your game was great, but just existing IP, bad financial situation. It made sense to sort of grab Sesame Street by the ass and combine it with your game.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to grab Sesame Street by the ass. I
not
feel
for me.
Apparently
they're all-time
not.
low. They couldn't even stay on PBS. They got public access on PBS.
That's true.
You can watch Svengoolie on that fucker.
They can't watch that on there. Yeah,
they're canceling Oscar the Grouch. So good character.
That's fair.
I look up to him. I too want to put people in trash cans.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah. What's your next game? Is it a lot like Oscar the Grouch?
I mean, we need to
Apparently it
figure
is.
that out now.
What type of Oscar the Grouch game you gonna make?
Okay, listen, what if Oscar the Grouch was even more grouchy?
Listen, I gotta let you know. I read a book about time saver techniques. I don't listen to the second half of sentences. You're all about that base.
Yeah.
I'm all about that predicate.
Okay.
Just like the
fair.
first part.
That's fair.
Jimmy went to the store too. Don't know.
That's fair.
Underline
He just
it.
went to the store. Yeah.
Break down the sentence. Underline it. Predicate. I'm off to recess.
Okay. Oscar is
That's
more
me now.
grouchy.
Yeah, I don't. Oscar. That's what I heard.
That's okay. Fair.
Make sure it's either Oscar from the Sesame Guy or from what's the one with the two fellas? They're like a pairing, and they're not the quite right type of pairing, and they're in a
Odd
sitcom.
Couple?
Mine's different. It's like they're a pair of guys,
Mhm.
two of them, and they're off. They're askew. Their tastes are skewed. Their ideas are
Odd?
queer. I was going to say queer in particular, but
That doesn't sound like a good word to use right now, but
which one?
I don't know.
Particular?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So they are sort of I guess I'll use your phrase, an odd couple. But that's not the name of it. Find out who Oscar is from one of those shows.
Okay.
We'll get on that. It was nice.
I made a weird jump there with Bert and Ernie. I just realized. Similar.
Yeah.
You really did. Yeah, but
really
you know
did.
what?
Wow.
You really got the Sesame
This
kick
is why
on,
you're
like,
the
on the
millionaire
brain.
and none of us are.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
thank
see the
you.
error of my ways now.
Yeah.
Good. Learn your lesson from being so poor around me.
Well,
So-
yeah.
constantly
Yeah,
learning
it's-
lessons about being
it-
poor.
Watch what I do. Just mimic what I do, and you'll become not poor pretty soon.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
I do what I do every day, and I'm
That's
not
true.
poor. And you do what you do, and you are poor. So
That's
think about
true.
it. Just act the way I act.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Well,
Billy
thank
Buttons
you,
out.
Billy. Yeah.
Now listen,
Okay.
you've been great here at this startup. I think we're gonna get a good shot on this warm cold foam in a pouch. I don't know if you guys heard that is what we do now, not tech anymore. Because that's how the world works, you know. So people always think, oh, you're into tech. Yeah, because some sector shut down. People used to be into tech in the 70s. Forgot about it. Came back
Right.
to it. Forget about it. Come
Now,
back. You know,
now we're in the foam business.
this is my advice about business. Don't remember anything from second to second. Yeah.
I've already forgotten what you just said. So
Yeah. So get me
Oh
your
man, you're
Oscar
gonna do
the
way
Grouch
better than I
flavored
am.
cold foam. And
Okay.
we're in business.
all right, foam it
Okay.
Because
is.
it's supposed to be the best foam there is.
I'm ready to foam it up.
Yeah,
It's a company man.
we'll be a couple of foam stars. Okay. Well, thank you. It was nice doing business with you, Mr.
Yeah, do you
Buttons.
mind if do you mind if you smoke?
I
I'm
would.
leaving, but I would like if you smoked while I left.
I can do that whenever. Really. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
no problem.
great. You too, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, put it in your mouth. Put it,
Turning
put,
on
it,
the
in- put,
intimate.
it, put it in your mouth, and let me light it for you.
Okay.
Here you go. You like it? Oh yeah.
No. Yeah.
That's good. Do that.
It's good.
Hey, listen.
It's good. Yeah.
Do that till
No,
I see
like
you
it.
again. Keep smoking until you see me again, and I tell you to stop. Okay.
Okay.
Restaurants, funerals. All right.
Funerals.
Funerals.
Okay. I'll get on that.
Wellings, funeral, spa mitzvahs.
Right.
You ever been to a spa mitzvah?
A spa mitzvah?
A spa mitzvah
A spa
when a boy
mitzvah.
becomes a sauna.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. That's
Yeah.
not, now that is a religion I could get into. I'm going to tell
It's
you right now.
crazy.
It sounds
Just a little
awesome.
boy there. Next thing you know, 2 hours later,
Hot tub.
he's 312 degrees.
That's crazy. That's
It's
wild.
nuts. It's beautiful part of the Jewish religion.
It sounds great.
So anyway, I'll see you guys around.
Yeah.
Wait till you bring me those
Billy.
Sesame Street foams, okay?
All right,
I'm
Mr.
there.
Buttons.
I'm
The
already
tech
on it.
industry cares about video games. Wouldn't it be cool to invest in video games? You know, when people get money, they buy stuff like stocks and companies. You know, you can just buy cars.
You could.
You could.
Or diamonds.
You could just buy
don't have to
foam.
buy a company with your money.
You could just buy foam in a bag, you know?
You can buy as much foam as your little heart desires.
I know.
But they all buy companies. That's weird.
I don't
You
know.
would
It is
think
weird.
getting money would make you not want to get more money.
You would think, but,
That's
you know.
the first thing I think about when I get money.
Yeah,
Is how right now, I don't need any more money.
right. That's
I've
fair.
got some.
That's true.
Well, maybe we could have some of it because we would like some money. We have
You don't
none.
have any?
No.
Oh, it's great. All right, fellas.
Oh,
I'm
well,
done
That's
here.
fair. That's
Okay.
fair.
no,
I'm gonna
that
go.
seems right.
Yeah.
One of you'll drive me home later. I just sit in
Okay.
the parking lot. I got
Yeah,
no
okay.
friends. Okay, bye.
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 Yo-ho! Yo-ho! Hi! Hi! I didn't think I was going to be like this, but here I am. I was so fine for the whole entire day. I was so excited. I was practicing my yo-ho, and now it's here, and I feel like I'm shaking. Can you hear me shaking? You can hear me shaking. Get it together, Saba. Get it together, Saba. This is embarrassing, Saba. Get it together, Saba. So, yeah, my name is Saba. It's nice to meet you. I've never met you before. Wah!